Attachment styles, the attachment theory has been around since the 50s, but it's made a big surge in media, thankfully, to all the talk about it on social media. So you may have heard people talk about being anxious attachment, avoidant attachment. And I recently made this correlation between my particular attachment style and the attachment styles of my clients and how it impacts your financial house, how it impacts how you behave and relate and perceive money. So this new series is going to unpack your unique attachment style and how that is blocking you from getting the abundance that you want if you aren't aware of it. And the first step is to be aware and to be willing so that you can make some shifts in order to unblock that clogged abundance funnel that you have going on. And you're not doing this consciously. This is subconscious stuff that's been at work for many, many years. So how do attachment styles develop? They come from early childhood, like, everything else. The behavior of the primary caregivers, so usually one's parents, contributes to and forms the way a child perceives close relationships. So the child is dependent on his or her caregivers and seeks comfort, soothing, and support from them. If the child's physical and emotional needs are satisfied, he or she becomes securely attached, which is like the optimum attachment style. This, however, would require the caregivers to offer a warm and caring environment and are attuned to the child's needs, even when those needs aren't clearly expressed. Misattunement on the side of the parent, whether it's innocently done or it's done in a toxic, deliberate way, are likely to lead to insecure attachment in their children. And then we walk through life operating out of these insecure attachment styles, which create so much havoc in our relationships, in our career, and our money life. I am not qualified, as I've said many times. I am not a relationship coach, and do not hire me for that. But if you want to make more money and have your most abundant life and grow a business and flourish and have limitless options and freedom, I'm your girl. If you're tired of hearing the same old basic mindset and motivational fluff talk, you've come to the right show. Welcome to Project Me with Tiffany Carter, the podcast, where we dish on everything from managing that crazy brain of yours to manifesting abundance to my straightforward, actionable steps that will make you major money online. Now, I'm not your typical multimillionaire entrepreneur. It takes a small village to keep my anxiety and depression in check. I'm inherently disorganized with an intense obsession with office supplies. Your girl here is a digital marketing content expert who's generated over $200 million in sales. I promise by tuning in twice a week, you will get a much needed refreshing dose of truth, clarity, and cash-making advice. Now let's get to it. Bottom line, you're either taking actions that are setting you up to have the life that you want, to have the abundance that you want, the options, the lifestyle, all the things, or you are taking actions or lack of action that will only get you more of the same and settling for that same life that you're not happy with, that same financial status that isn't getting you the freedom of time, the freedom of luxury, the freedom of travel, the freedom of trips, the freedom of options that you're saying you want. It's time for you to change your money story for good. And I have this new one-of-a-kind 4-month mastermind that is going to be perfect for you if you're at that point where you're like, you know what? Enough messing around. I'm going for it. I'm doing what it takes. I'm here. I'm committed to creating the life that I know that I deserve and that I desire. And I just need someone to show me the way, and I'll show up and do my part. So this brand new mastermind combines proven business growth strategy that I'm very well known for, plus my famous proprietary money mindset healing techniques. You're going to change your money story, create life-changing legacy cash while helping countless people with your gifts, inside the Abundance League Mastermind. To get all of the details, simply go to our page at projectmewithttiffany.com/Abundance League. You can swipe up. The link's in the show notes. It's also my link in bio on Instagram. We are taking only a maximum of 20 people to ensure that you walk away getting the best results. And this also includes a 2-day live experience with me at my beach house in Los Angeles. That by itself is a $10,000 value. Our introductory pricing for this is mind-blowing. There is no one in the industry that would be giving you this much and this kind of access at this price point. You're going to want to take advantage of it for that alone. But let's make 2023 the year, not that you thought about it, not that you tried, not that you did all the things. Let's make 2023 the year that it happened. So go check that out. Don't wait. It's by application only. Excited to see you guys in there. What up, my people, my posse, my fellow crazies? This is your host, Tiffany Carter, and the show that is going to help you grow your business, your bank account, that big, beautiful brain of yours, your relationships, and everything in between. So I am an anxious, avoidant personality, meaning I have a disorganized attachment style. And I was diagnosed by one of my clients and a fellow podcaster, Dr. Morgan Anderson. She's a psychologist who specializes in attachment theory. And what the disorganized attachment style means is that I can flip-flop between anxious and avoidant. So I've broken this new series out per attachment style, and there's 4 of them. So I'm focused today on anxious attachment, which in my opinion, at least what I've seen with all the people that I coach, is the most common, and I'd say the second most common is avoidant. And if you really want to geek out on this stuff, go check out Dr. Morgan Anderson's show. It's called Let's Get Vulnerable. She really focuses more so on like the love relationship aspect of attachment theory, as that's what like almost everyone who does attachment theory focuses on. I'm focusing on your particular way of attaching and how that relates to your money house. And it is mind-blowing. I've been doing months and months and months of research on this. So you guys are going to get all the tea in this series. And then you'll be able to determine, right, like what attachment style you think you are. So let's start with this. The anxious attachment style refers to a relationship pattern in which individuals tend to have a high need for closeness and reassurance from their partners. They often worry about abandonment and seek constant validation and attention. This attachment style can have an impact on various aspects of a person's life, no shit, including their relationship to money. So if you have gone to a therapist or you have spidey senses that you are codependent, I'm codependent, I'm in recovery for codependency, high chance that you have an anxious attachment style. Okay, so I'm going to break down the 5 top ways that I've found in doing my research, specifically in the money house, on how this anxious attachment style will influence your relationship with money, and your mind is about to be blown. The first thing is, and these are in no particular order, overspending. Anxiously attached individuals may use money as a means to seek validation and reassurance. So they may engage in excessive spending, purchasing items or experiences to fill emotional voids or seek temporary happiness. So this could be a shopping spree at Target. This could be saying fuck it and ordering DoorDash 5 nights a week, which even though I have the money to do that, it's off the chains. Okay. And what am I really doing with that? It does fill some kind of a void within me. It could be you convincing yourself that you need a new Gucci bag, or you covet a certain item. And if you have that item, it's going to end up making you feel a certain type of way. So then you go and buy that item. I definitely was that person. I was like, oh, I need to have this pair of jeans. And once I get that bag, I'll feel this way. And you get a temporary mood boost from that. So this behavior can lead obviously to financial instability and difficulties in managing finances. There's a lot of anxious attachment people who have a hard time holding on to money. It's like that money is like burning a hole in your wallet. Like you've got to spend it. It can't just be there. You've got to do something with it. You can't just let it sit. It's like always have to be doing very reactionary to the point where there isn't always much thought. It can be impulsive. But I've also noticed that anxious attachers can flip-flop. They can also do underspending, which I fall into that category a lot too, where I'll spend money frivolously on shit that I absolutely don't need, like another journal or another pair of leggings. And then I'll be in resistance to spending money, let's say, on doing advertising for my podcast or hiring someone to produce all of my YouTube videos, which I'm looking for someone right now. Or I can put off spending that money, just like what happened to me when I built my first business, which was not a smart way to build it and much more expensive and much harder, is that I was overly self-reliant because I was being cheap, because I was anxious about spending money before I made money. And so I was in fear and I didn't want to spend it if I didn't have it or if I didn't have a guarantee it was there. But you've got to spend money to actually make money. It's called investing. There's a reason why there are business loans, right? You've got to make investments in order to get you to your goal faster, to avoid pitfalls so that you know what you're doing. Otherwise, you're going to waste even more time, energy, and money while you're being cheap. Number 2, financial dependence. And this might feel a little triggering to some of you. And if you do get triggered or ping on any of these, it's because there's something that you need to explore further. And it's because you know there's truth to it within you and your own life. Financial dependence. Anxiously attached individuals may have a strong desire to rely on their partner for financial support. And I've found it's not just a partner. It can be a parent, and it can be a parent even if you're like in your 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s. Okay. It could be a job where you're in a job far too long. You don't even like it, but you're holding on. It could be a long-term client that is not even paying your current rate, but you're holding on, because you may fear being alone or be unable to make your business successful or take care of yourself financially if you do let go of this. So then this ends up leading to a dependence on whether your partner, this person, let's just say it's a person, this person's income or resources. Because it's like, if I let go of this, or if I divorce this person, or I leave this job, or I let go of this client, or I tell this client my prices have increased and I have to increase your prices, there's this anxiousness is fear, right? This isn't rational. But you have this fear that I'm going to be basically fucked without this. I'm going to be destitute. I'm going to be screwed. I don't know what I'm going to do. And this dependency can create an imbalance of power in relationships and make it difficult for people to develop financial independence, which is what helps build a secure attachment to money by having that financial dependence. I can't tell you how many women I work with that come to me that they're in a spiral from being in a divorce and have to make their own money, and they've not been in that spot before, and they've clung on to a relationship far too long just because of the money. I know people who are sitting in a lot of shame who are listening right now that still take in money from their parents, and they're a well-grown adult. And then what happens is financial entanglement usually occurs. So where there are either very overt threats of the money being taken away, or the contributions or the things you're getting changing, or it's implied. You better, show up for every holiday gathering, or anytime I need you, you better pick up the phone or I'm cutting you off. My mom used to play that game with me in my 20s. That was a major game she played. I did this. I had financial entanglement with her as a narcissist, and her using money. And then at any time I would pull away for financial independence, she would do something like send me a check in the mail or like a really nice gift. She's even sent me a credit card with my name on it. And I mean, it's straight up very, very tempting, but it was to keep me hooked into her. I have clients and I have friends whose partners have said things like, you'll never make it on your own. This is my house. We're going to have to sell the house. Well, if you brought in more money, we wouldn't be in this circumstance. So there's money shaming. And that just keeps that anxious attachment bond and hook and much, much stronger. Number 3, seeking material possessions for security. So anxious individuals may associate material possessions with emotional security. And I'm very much calling myself out with love on this. This is like one of my biggest areas that I'm working through healing and growing more secure on this one. You might believe that having more money or material belongings will protect you from abandonment or rejection. I definitely attach money to security and safety. And while on the surface that might make sense, right? Well, of course, Tiffany, like you're not going to live in a tent and you can pay all your own bills and any medical needs and blah, blah, blah. But when it comes from a place of the anxious attachment, right? Again, it's fear, it's unreasonable, false evidence appearing real. There is a dependence. It's like, if I don't have this money and if I don't have this amount in the bank and if I don't have this consistent flow of cash, then therefore I'm not safe. And when we depend on anything outside of ourselves and our higher power, our spiritual practices, God, whatever your thing is, you're screwed. We're in trouble. It's not healthy. So consequently, people who seek material possessions or money as a way of feeling more secure and a way to avoid abandonment or rejection, right? You might prioritize accumulating wealth and possessions as a way to ease your anxiety about things. And then you can end up burnt out. You're a workaholic. You're always, focused on this thing. Or then what happens is you have such an attachment that maybe in business you go to launch something and it's not going as well right off the start. And then you totally spiral and flip out. Go listen to my last episode on the self-doubt spiral, because likely if you get into that, I'm just telling you, your anxious attachment, okay, when it comes to money. And you start flipping out and spiraling because it's not working. Because if you have that tied to your safety, security, and well-being, then it's going to come across dangerous in your nervous system. And then you're going to act crazy and you're going to actually repel the abundance and totally sabotage your launch. And I've done this. I've absolutely lost my mind before. And then that's not attractive. And then you start in this pushing and forcing and grinding and hustling energy. And that only pushes our financial goals and desires and abundance further and further away from us. And this happens if you're in a job environment too. It's like, if I don't have this title, if I'm not promoted by this date, if I'm not making this certain amount of salary, I have to have it. You start becoming like fixated on it, and it can become an obsession. It can become an addiction, and it really, really can wreak a lot of havoc in your life. Is it wreak havoc? That doesn't sound right. Wreak? Like reek means something smells. Wreak havoc. It's probably spelled a different way, but we're going to go with it for now. Number 4, anxiety about financial stability. Anxiously attached individuals may constantly worry about their financial security. You might be more prone to financial anxiety, fearing that a lack of money or resources will lead to rejection or abandonment. This anxiety can manifest as excessive concern over financial planning, budgeting, saving, often driven by like fear of future instability. Something that I used to do, and once in a while I can get caught in a loop and I catch myself during it now and I can stop and reframe it, is starting to panic. How much money is coming in? How much money do I have in the bank? And an old therapist of mine would have me go and check the facts and go check all my financial accounts and my bank accounts so that I'm reminding myself there's plenty in here. But I used to check like my accounts, like my stock market accounts every day. What is that going to do? Unless you're a day trader, all that's going to do is cause you anxiety. What does the stock market do every day? It fluctuates all day long. It goes up and down. I'm sure some of you people who have the TV station or have the apps constantly going with the ticker tape of all the things, that's not healthy. Because if you're really that fixated on something, you're having an anxious attachment to it. It's an unhealthy attachment where you are like, my well-being is dependent on how well the stock market is that day. And you'll hear people, you'll start recognizing this in the people around you and your family, where it's like, oh, my stocks are up today, so I'm in a great mood, or I got the raise, so I'm in a great mood. My launch is doing great, so I'm motivated and I'm happy and I'm higher than life. Well, if your mood and your energy and your worth and your well-being and your internal nervous system is all based on whether or not something outside of yourself happens and doesn't happen, again, major, major danger. And before I get into the fifth one, I want to remind you the best thing that you can do for yourself when you have this anxious attachment, when you want something to work so badly, is set yourself up so you have the accountability and the guidance and support when you start spinning out, so that you're focusing on exactly what you need to and not putting your energy towards stuff that you don't, because this will help you go, okay, I'm doing the best I can. I'm investing in myself. I am following the guidance of a trusted expert. I am supported. And all I need to do is the best I can on any given day and trust that is more than enough. When you can give that gift to yourself and lean back into that, your business will soar. I've watched it happen many, 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 many times over again in all of my masterminds. And that is another reason why we put together this unique one-of-a-kind mastermind experience, the Abundance League. 4 months with me and my Project Me Dream Team. Plus, you are getting included a 2-day live in-person experience right here at my beach house in Los Angeles. And it will, without a doubt, not only be the most fun you'll have all year, but you will walk away knowing and understanding on a whole different level, because we're going to be showing you in person how to create profitable content that's fun to make, that's easy to make, that connects with your ideal client and converts on repeat for you while you're busy doing other things. You need to start looking at all your pieces of content as like your sales team. These are little sales people all over the interwebs selling your stuff in a way that feels good to your ideal client, in a way that's helpful to them, in a way that feels good to you. And then you have enough of those pieces of content out there, you're going to be hearing the bing, bing, bong, bongs going off on those Stripe and PayPal notifications, honey. So all those details are in the link in the show notes, and it's projectmewithtiffany.com/the Abundance League. It's also in my link in bio on Instagram at Project Me with Tiffany. We are only taking a maximum of 20 people. This is going to sell out very quickly because we are doing pre-launch introductory pricing, and this will never be at this price again. And I'm offering incredible payment plans so that you can come in here and feel really good about making a solid investment in your business, which of course this is a tax write-off since I'm a high-end business strategist and marketing expert. And it's not so much that you start spiraling in anxious attachment land. It's a really beautiful sweet spot. So go check that out. Okay. The fifth one, and there are many more, but I didn't want to overwhelm you with them. This is enough to chew on already. The fifth one, financial conflicts in relationships. Anxious attachment style people, it can contribute to conflicts surrounding money and relationships because you have difficulty discussing financial matters openly and honestly, because you might fear of judgment or rejection. What I also notice anxious attachment people doing is they have a fear of raising their prices, especially with clients that they've had a long time that are on old pricing, or afraid to start offering programs that are at a higher price point because they're afraid that, especially my healers, my medical practitioners, because it's like, I'm afraid people are going to think I'm all about the money and I'm just money hungry and I don't really care about them, and that I am alienating people because they might not be able to afford my services, and I'm afraid that people won't buy from me if I make it too much, so I need to charge less because then I'll get more people. No. None of that ends up working because of where this is rooted in. It's not rooted in like true pricing and marketing strategy, which is something we cover inside my Abundance League Mastermind. It's coming from rooted in fear. I'm fear they will leave. I fear they won't buy. I'm fear they won't stay. I fear they're going to think that I'm this type of a way. I don't want to make them feel a certain type of way. And that's how you know that the behavior and the money noise and the stuff that's going on is rooted in this anxious attachment. So this can create communication gaps, misunderstandings, and disagreements with business partners, with your love partner, with friendship partners, and it can cause a lot of strain. And what it ends up causing is financial resentment. So you will start doing things to like self-sabotage these relationships with clients, or you'll start getting just annoyed and bitter that people aren't paying you that much. You start complaining about it. You don't show up the same way. Then low key, you don't want to attract more clients because you don't have any more energy to give because you're already so exhausted because your exchange of energy, time, and intellectual property for money is way off. So then you're really putting out into the universe, well, I can't handle more people. I can't handle more business. I can't handle more clients. When the truth is you could, if you had your business structured differently, or if you took fewer people at a higher price point that felt like a really good, honorable exchange for the time, energy, and money and heart that you put into people. Do you see what I'm saying? How tricky it gets here? And that's why inside my new mastermind, you get one live training a month where we focus on business strategy so that you have everything set up to be cranking in the cash for your business. And then there's a second live session, coaching session every single month that is totally focused on all the abundance stuff, all the money stuff, so that we can start clearing out those corroded abundance pipes of yours so that this money can flow much easier and much faster to you. But it's not going to happen in those same corroded pipes. It's just not. We actually probably need to put in new ones. Unless you want to keep working with those old ones that are just getting you the same result. So if you love this episode, share it with someone who comes to mind. Our next episode that you get on this, we're going to be covering the avoidant attachment, which in my opinion and what I've read in my research is like the second most common attachment style and how that relates to money. Share this episode on social media at tag Project Me with Tiffany on Instagram and Facebook. You can follow me on TikTok now, where I go really deep into the money and manifestation and abundance stuff with unique content that's over on that channel. And if you leave me a 5-star written review on Apple Podcasts and put your name or Instagram handle in the review, take a screenshot, DM me on Instagram. I am going to treat you to a luxuriating beverage of your choice as my way of saying thank you for being such a grateful listener to the show. I appreciate you so much. Wishing you great health, wealth, and worth as always. Love you. If you enjoyed this podcast, please write a 5-star review on iTunes. Not only will this make me super happy, but it will allow more listeners to find our special show. Simply help me help others.